she was like, what do you think about Hardline? I was like, oh, I'm coming to watch Hardline. And she was like, what do you think about riding? And I actually said no. We're in the back of this, it was like a 4x4, and then the bikes were on a trailer, and we were going up this hillside, and all of us were like, it felt like we were going to war or something. It was like a really like weird mood where we were trying to joke around and be funny, but anytime the conversation stopped, it felt like we were all just so scared. I feel like when I've got a bit of adversity, I tend to do better. It's like, oh, I'm just so embarrassed that I crashed in the easiest sections, and the emotions were so high. Like, our mind is so powerful, and that, yeah, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I always think, yeah, you just have to believe that you can.
Louise Ferguson, welcome back to the Downtime podcast. How's things with you? You just landed back into Queenstown from a rather hectic hardline, I think.
Yeah, I'm feeling surprisingly good after the whole week. To be honest, I'm really tired, but I'm still buzzing off the whole event, and yeah, just kind of getting back into the swing of things. So trying to get a bit more structure, and catching up with everyone.
Nice, sounds good. And it's been a pretty hectic couple of years for you, I think, since we last spoke on the podcast back in Aletha at a round of the EWS a couple of years ago. And I think we'd be remiss to not start with some hardline related chat, because that's kind of what's really blown up over the last week. But you've been cracking on with hardline for a little while, so we'll start with the Welsh event. You weren't initially on the invite list for that, right? Which seems kind of crazy, but you were like a last minute stand-in for Casey, I think.
Yeah, so unfortunately Casey, I'm sure she got a bit injured, so I think it was concussion, and I got the last minute call up to go to Wales, which I'm super grateful for. It was actually just after Val d'Isole World Cup. Tanny got on the phone, and I was heading to Mega Avalanche. So we just done a big block of racing, and then went to Mega Avalanche with Nuke Proof, and she was like, what do you think about Hardline? I was like, oh, I'm coming to watch Hardline. Like, I've always wanted to come see it in person and just see how gnarly it actually is. And she was like, what do you think about riding? And I actually said no. So I was like, I just didn't want to take someone's space that was had been looking forward to doing the event and knew that they were going to like tick off some features. And I feel like there's so many talented women at the minute and really pushing themselves. And I felt like I had been focusing on World Cups for last season, and I just didn't want to take someone else's opportunity away. But Tanny managed to convince me that she tried to get someone to fill Casey's space, but she wasn't having much luck. It was super last minute, so I would be flying out in I think it was like within a week, if I was going to commit to doing the women's practice, which was 2 days earlier. And yeah, I'm really glad she persevered with me and basically convinced me that it was fine if I didn't ride anything. I could just come and we would all work it out together. So shout out to Tanny for believing in me more than I believed in myself.
Fair play. Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome to hear. So what was it like then arriving on site at the Welsh event? I've been once and seen it in person, and it's it's an intimidating hill full stop just to ride down like any kind of track on it. It's pretty full on, like grim Welsh rough mountain. And then you see that track and it's incredible in the flesh. Like, it's gnarly top to bottom, eh?
Yeah, I would recommend if anyone hasn't seen it just to go and have a look, because in person it's just mind-blowing how big the features are. And like you said, it's really beautiful in Wales, but it feels like you're on the edge of the world, like when you're standing up on the track. And it didn't help it didn't help that we had like some pretty crazy weather. So yeah, the whole week was a really cool experience when we turned up, because I had no expectations. I didn't plan to be there to ride my bike. It felt really freeing almost. Like we went, there was a group of us, I knew some of the girls before from Formation, which is like a female free ride event in Utah. And so I felt pretty comfortable around them. They're all legends. One of the girls as well, Vinny, she's like a Queenstown local, so I spent heaps of times with her. And and then Tanny, I got to know Tanny properly, which was epic too. So yeah, we just kind of went up for a bit of a track walk, and I was mind blown at how big everything is. Yeah, I knew it was going to be hard, but then yeah, it was just pouring rain, super windy. There was all these people, like everyone was freezing cold, and like yeah, just trying to get down the track. Even walking was pretty hard, and yeah, I've got to say, like, I'll never forget our first ride up in the shuttle bus when we were actually going with our bikes. There was I remember me, Jess and Tanny trying to like joke around because we're in the back of this it was like 4x4, and then the bikes were on a trailer, and we were going up this hillside, and all of us were like, it felt like we were going to war or something. It was like a really like weird mood where we were trying to joke around and be funny, but anytime the conversation stopped, it felt like we were all just so scared. So yeah, we committed to, once we got our bikes off the trailer, then we knew we were going to go ride some pretty intimidating stuff. So
yeah, there's nothing easy. Even the roll out of the start into the first bit of woods is like stupidly gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, was Bernard with you, like showing speed and lines and stuff? Is that how that worked? That practice session that you guys had?
Yeah, so I'll give you a rundown of the format, because Tanny has done a really good job spearheading, giving women an opportunity at Hardline. So she came up with a bit of a plan with Jess that we would get 2 days of practice before the event started with the men. So they've done it around 7 times, which is incredible, and it changes like every single year, or at least some of the features change, but they've got like such a good starting point. So for us just to go and figure out, we did a track walk, and then Bernard came up with us, and we were meant to have 2 days of practice, but because the weather was so bad, we actually got 1 afternoon of riding before the main event actually started. So yeah, when we were going up in that lift and getting a bit like nervous, that was our last opportunity to get on the track before it was going to be all go. So yeah, and honestly it was the worst weather we had all week that we were riding in. So it was like torrential rain, super windy still, and we got out off this trailer, and you ride down this little skinny track to get to the beginning where the wooden archway is that people will recognise from the broadcast. And I crashed on the way to the trail. So all the media people were at the start. Yeah. Yeah. And I was following Bernard, and the other girls were behind me, and we were going down this little skinny track that there was so much rain that it turned into a river. So just riding down this river. And I've never ridden in like anywhere near this place before. And I didn't know how slippery the rock was in the wet. So because I grew up in Fort William, and it rains there all the time, but the rock is actually really good in the wet. It's almost grippier. So I'm just like, I'm used, like, got into riding in the wet, and I wasn't too nervous about that. But this trail, as you come down to look at the wooden Red Bull archway, there's like this rock slab, and I followed Bernard, and Bernard got really squirrely. It was like almost like a rock slab drop thing, and his front wheel like got pushed. And I just looked at him, and I didn't do anything. I was like, just thought like, don't brake or anything. Didn't brake. Front wheel gone straight over the bars, like off the side of the track. And all the media people and Red Bull people turned around and just looked at me. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't be here. Like I had like moss and everything stuck in my helmet. And the other girls, like I kind of tried to laugh it off. But and then that kind of set the tone. So like, so then the first feature is a gnarly like rock chimney thing that you drop into, and it is actually, as soon as I did that, I realised how slippery the rock is, and that feature suddenly became a lot harder. But with the other girls, we just managed to hook into it. Tanny, I think, actually dropped into that, or Jess, one of the two of them, just committed. And I saw that this year at Tasmania as well. Like Tanny, off the start gate, I think she's just one of those people that just wants to get stuff done. And she dropped into the first feature, and then we all just started riding and sessioning. And there was that off-camber rock slab as well. I was like, it looks not like a gnarly feature for Hardline Wales, but honestly in the wet it's super intimidating. Like there's not much of a catch at the end. And then all the corners where you'd think you could get a bit of traction or you need speed for features, because of all the rain, were really soft. So we had like a lot of challenges that first session, but we did really well. And I think then the rest of the week just kind of was almost a bit easier, because that was the scariest one, going up in the uplift. Yeah, and then we kind of worked through a lot of the features. I still have stuff that when we were leaving I really wanted to do, because I went in with low expectations, and we rode a lot more than I thought we would, and then the weather got worse and the event ended up being cancelled. But I think we did everything we could, but I would love to go back and ride some more features. There are a couple features there that, even with all the good weather and all the time in the world, at that point last year, I don't think I could have completed a full run. It would have been a lot of risk. And watching Jess hurt herself on the drop after the metal ramp, she landed pretty perfect, and she shattered her heel. So I think even with all the time in the world, I probably wouldn't have ridden that week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're in your head, you're processing the fact that you want to go back though and get that whole track done.
Yeah, I would love to. And I was just really thankful for the opportunity to get that invite, unfortunately for Casey, but yeah, I'm really glad to go. I was really glad to make the most of it. And and the other girls as well. Tani's done such a good job of picking a great group of people. So it's the perfect amount of pressure, but a really supportive and fun vibe as well. There's loads of joking around, and yeah, she keeps picking good people like Gracie and Cami. It's just the biggest chiller in the world, but she's the gnarliest person. I don't know if you saw her crash in Wales.
No.
So there's a drop that lands on a rock slab, and as I said, the rock was just incredibly slippery, and she was the first one of us to hit it, so she followed Bernard in and ended up crashing on the rock, and she just got up like it was nothing, and then she just started riding again. And later on I saw her leg, and it was from pretty much her hip down to her knee was a massive graze, and she was just yeah, it's all good, I'm fine, I'm gonna keep riding. I would have been in tears, I reckon. Just absolutely bawling.
What were your highlights from that Welsh event? What features were you maybe scared of but then found out you really enjoyed? Were there bits of the track that were fun to ride once you got to grips with them?
Yeah, I think what was the funnest section? Well, I think linking up the sections was a huge achievement. So from the road gap down, we rode almost everything, and nice. That was pretty fun, because it is pretty gnarly, especially we were riding a lot of the tech in the wet, and the rocky section after the road gap is really rough and bobbly. So yeah, it felt good to get do that so many times and then get a couple of jumps at the bottom, and everything from the top as well down to that metal ramp. So it felt like we were actually riding. It wasn't one feature and then just trying to get round everything else. So it felt like we rode more of the track than not. So and the section after the drop that Jess crashed on, that is incredibly fun. It's high pace, you hit the corners, there's this rocky kind of wall ride thing, and then it goes through some stumps and then drops. That felt like a bit of a downhill track, more of what I'm used to. And the feeling of hitting the on-off was also... I was
going to say, were you the only one of the women that got the on-off on that week?
Yeah, and it was funny because throughout the week I started to think of the features that I wanted to complete instead of going there with an open mind. In the track walk I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty happy if I just don't ride any of these features, because I didn't hold myself to anything. But throughout the week I started to think I'd love to do the road gap. Everyone keeps telling me it's the most intimidating feature, but it works really well. So I stood on top of that road gap for way too long, and I don't know if you stood on it, but it's super exposed. It feels
it's huge.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know, it's just crazy when there's the only way to get around it as well is to carry your bike. So I kept thinking if next time I go up there, I'm going to ride it, because to keep walking my bike around is quite demoralizing, and it kept reinforcing that I wasn't going to do it. So one of the nights I just couldn't fall asleep because I was thinking like how much I was going to do the road gap, and in the end I didn't do it, but instead I just like rode that really fun section after the drop, and my teammate at the time, Harry, was there, and I started to watch the men do the on off, and I think I'm quite a visual learner. Like seeing things work, it really gives me a lot of confidence instead of someone explaining it to me. So yeah, I watched a couple of people, and me and Harry were just having a bit of a chat, and I was like, oh, do you mind if I just follow you in? Like if I don't do it, I don't, I'll just like gauge the speed. And he was like, absolutely. And he's so nice, but he's very dialed at Hardline, so I really trust his skill, and I know he would tell me if there was anything weird about one of the features. So yeah, I just followed him in, and when I hit the corner I was like, oh, I'm right with him. So I just committed, and it was such a cool feeling, and it just gave me so much't for like the rest of the track, because it opens up more of the features. So it was like that was probably the highlight for me, was hitting that feature, and then also getting to explain it to the girls and tell them that we have this, like we can do it. So yeah, that was really, it makes me laugh now reflecting on it, that I was stressing about the road gap and then did something else that is actually probably a lot harder to ride. So yeah, I think our mind is so powerful, and that whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I always think you just have to believe that you can. So
yeah, 100%. How did it feel to walk away with Rider of the Week from that event?
Yeah, that was really special. That was because the other riders vote for you. I couldn't stop smiling. I think I thought it was just going to be the girls would vote for the women, like one of us, and then the men would vote for one of them, but it was actually like a pool of everyone. And I think it's why I like Hardline so much. Like the environment is really supportive. Everyone's happy to be there and wants everyone to do well, because the features are so gnarly. When you're at the bottom of the track and you see people come through, you're genuinely excited for them to get a clean run in, and there's a sense of relief as well. So yeah, I feel like everyone who gets invited is really part of it. And there's like a competitive side, but it's just a really fun community. So for everyone to vote for me, I'm really thankful for that. So yeah,
that's super special. So were you pretty excited when you found out there was another venue and it was going to be in Medina?
Yeah, I think there's not enough events in like Australia and New Zealand for like the amount of terrain and like sick riders we have like down here. And it's easy for me to say because I'm amongst it, but I think it's sick that Red Bull saw the opportunity to build a big event down here and then showcase it to the world. And it is literally as far away as possible from like European racing. So yeah, I think they had a really good idea with that. I was pretty nervous. I was excited, and then also completely ready to go to Tasmania and not ride anything if I didn't feel comfortable, because we didn't have those 2 days before the main event to get the practice in, because the whole track was completely brand new. So it'd be pretty funny if we, like the women went earlier and we tested out the features for everyone. It would have been almost harder than if we just so Tanny made the call for us to join the men, so just in the first practice, and it was a really exciting atmosphere, like dropping into that track and then watching people work for all the features, and the emotions were so high, like get so much adrenaline trying a feature and being like pretty intimidated by it, and then getting the buzz of completing it, but then you're straight into the next feature. So it was like this roller coaster, and everyone was moving so fast as well. So we kind of stuck together as a group and helped each other through things, and a lot of the girls have different strengths. So Tanny's picked like half and half for like free riders to racers, so we've got we've got some different backgrounds and can help each other through different sections, and I think that definitely helped us like complete the track. Like the first session we had was we almost rode everything on the trail. There was like maybe three or four features we didn't ride that we got to, and then the bottom jumps were closed. as a decision from Red Bull for the first practice. But by the time we got there, I think we were all exhausted from all the excitement. So, yeah, it was.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was good.
Do you think it was an easier track than the Welsh version, or is it just because it was like dry, not covered in like death slippery rocks and blowing a gale like it normally is in North Wales? Like, what made the progression so fast there?
I've been trying to reflect on this as well, because I feel like the weather does play a big factor in it. Of like, you get there, you're nice and warm. Like, we were going up in the shuttle, and there wasn't like a weird atmosphere of like we're going into battle. It was more of like, oh, we're gonna go to the track and we know we can ride some sections of it. So I think like the in-between sections, although I crashed on them, are not as technical as the sections in Wales. Okay. So so I think Wales, as far as tech goes, is a bit gnarlier, but the track in Medina is high speed, and it's loads of like, it leads you into sections really quickly, and you have to brake to get through, like to link them together. So that's why I found when I started to link sections, it was like a lot more braking than I anticipated. So to get the features, you have to like be conscious of like, right, I'll slow down here, let off the brakes there, and then ride through that section. So yeah, and it's a lot longer as well. So it was physical in a different way to Wales, but the features were built really well. There's like definitely some intimidating ones, especially if you were to go and look at them. Like, I don't think the videos do it justice. Like, some of them are absolutely huge, and they're the biggest things I've ever hit in my life. Like, and
you've hit some big stuff, yeah.
And they're so big. Like, it's crazy to look at them from the side. I was trying to convince myself of some of them, like comparing them to things I've already done, like road gaps and stuff at World Cups, but they're like 5 times the size as anything else. So, yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah.
You were pioneering some stuff on your own, though, right? You weren't necessarily getting towed into some of the features. What gave you that confidence to just be like, oh, I've got this?
Well, I think like the first session we had was really hectic with the speed. The boys just charge on. It's like they don't want to stop, and they have a lot of confidence, and they also I don't think they want to be like the last one to hit something or just be left behind. So yeah, they move through pretty quick. So me and the girls were more towards the back and just like taking our own speed into things, and there would be a couple guys who like every single one of the guys would have towed us into stuff. Like, they were so good about it. Like, if we asked for any help, they were just more than happy to show us the speed or talk us through things. But they're focusing on a race as well, though. Like, they are at a new venue, and yeah, that's kind of the reason they're there. So they were moving through things quite quickly, and a couple of the girls got towed into stuff, and I felt like in the right headspace to hit something, but I didn't have someone there to give me a tow, and I knew that I'm gonna be hitting this hopefully by myself anyway. So I watched some of the girls hit stuff, or I watched some of the guys, and then I felt comfortable to give it a nudge myself, and yeah, it was nice to push myself like that and become a bit more comfortable. So then when we go to other places, I can like judge speed and stuff a bit more.
Yeah.
There's some features that I wouldn't have hit without a tow, just like the last couple jumps. It's so speed dependent, and I'm a bit smaller than some of the guys hitting it, so it's nice to you almost like getting their draft as well, and they can pull you through stuff. So yeah, especially for the first hit, if I went a bit deep, it's not a drama, but coming up a bit short would have been pretty scary. So yeah. So
how were you feeling after that first day of practice then? Like you say, you ticked off quite a lot of the track. You must have been feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, all of us girls, we were buzzing, like cloud 9, so happy with everything. Like, yeah, we had chats at dinner. It felt like almost like school camp, so we were staying in some tents. And then we're having
some spiders in as well, right?
Huge spiders. I didn't actually see them. I'm so scared of spiders, so I was pretty happy not to going to those tents. But me and Tanya were meant to be sharing, and she didn't even stay in the tent for a couple of the nights. She was so scared of the spiders. And I had to keep checking, and we found some holes when we first got in the tent, and I taped them up. Yeah, Tanya had some other accommodations, so she stayed in that for a couple of nights, and then ended up moving into the tents with us. But yeah, we were camping, so it was nice to get to know everyone a bit more, and then all having dinner together and kind of reflecting on the day and what our goals were, how we felt about stuff. It felt like there wasn't, from the girls, there was like no pressure. But I think Gracie getting Rider of the Week was so deserved. She was just on a mission from day one, and she's got so much confidence in herself. It's really inspiring, and I feel like we might have got everything done without her, but having her there, and she just kind of led the way for the rest of us. It was, I'm really glad she came, and
it's cool.
I'm glad all the girls came. Like Tani, Hannah and Cami were so close to a full run. It came down to our last practice run to hit the last jump, and we've been battling with wind all week. And we all were getting led in, actually. We all got a couple toes, and it just didn't work out for them. And when I hit it, they were like, right, straight up, we're going to go for race runs. So it was, it came down to a couple minutes, really.
Yeah, the weather was kind of against you. Like, it started off pretty nice that week by the looks of it, and then it got cold, and then it got wet, and then it got windy. Like, it didn't make your life too easy, hey?
It was a bit of a challenge, but I think we've all learned so much from it with the hitting jumps. I didn't want to make the wind call because I've never hit anything that big before. So and the lower section is out of the trees. So hitting the container gap was not stressful with the wind. But then lower down, it was like you come out of the trees into the shark fin and the last couple of features. And depending which way the wind's going, it can completely change how the jumps ride. And I saw that with the men. So their first hits, they went really deep on the last jump because there was a tailwind, and then like a couple of days later there was a headwind when we were getting toes in as well. We were trying to hit it, and half the guys were pulling out because they didn't feel like they had enough speed. And I don't know about you, when you try something, you almost lock yourself in. You like have to give yourself a bit of a pep talk and commitment, especially with the jump. You're like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it. So you're going to follow someone. And if I wasn't following someone, I probably would have committed when the wind was too strong. So yeah, I'm really glad that the guys were so good with us, like giving us toes and happy to help. But yeah, I think we need to be a bit more like Gracie and just commit. Like the first hits the men did were in the wind 100%. Like it was so windy, but because it was a tailwind, it was fine. And I think Gracie felt really comfortable, and it was just was confident with the wind, and was happy to commit a lot earlier. And then once you've hit something and there's a little bit of a breeze, you feel a bit more confident to hit it or understand which ways the wind is going and how it affects the jumps. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you'd had that opportunity maybe even on the first day to get those ticked off when the conditions were perfect, then maybe it would have been a more comfortable time doing it in the adverse conditions. But that must have been pretty insane for you though, right? So you had one go over that final jump and you literally straight back in the uplift to go up for race runs, right? Yeah,
it was a really quick turnaround. But I'm really glad Red Bull gave us the opportunity, because in Wales, the agreement Tani had with Red Bull was that we had to do a full run before seeding for us to then go on to ride the rest of the race weekend. In Tasmania, we got so close. And on seeding day, there was a headwind, so we didn't end up doing the jumps. So from what they said before, we should have stopped riding. But because it was wind affected, Red Bull were pretty lenient, and they said, you've got another practice session. And that's why it came down to 2 minutes before my race run that I got the opportunity and then did it and then went up. And so I'm just thankful that they gave us more time, and I think they are really for the riders, especially at Hardline, because it's high consequence with a lot of the features, so they're happy to work around us, and I really appreciate that. So as much as it was pretty hectic at the time, I'm glad it worked out that way. So
Yeah. No, that's super cool to hear that they gave that leniency and made that happen, because it wouldn't have been the same event without it, I think.
Yeah.
So how was it then? You're in the buggy or in the uplift on the way back up. You've done that jump once, and you know you've now got a race run broadcast to however many hundreds of thousands or millions of people around the world on Red Bull TV.
I'm just really glad I had Gracie, and I'm glad I could go up with her so she wasn't alone as well. So yeah, we just kind of kept it pretty chill, chatted the whole way up, and I think the whole week did build up to that, because when we initially got there, the thought of doing a full run was really overwhelming for me. Like, to think of hitting all the features, doing a race run in front of so many people, potentially being the first person to do it, or one of the first with the other girls, it was too much for my brain to handle. So throughout the week, my good friend Casey's my mechanic this year, and he's such a legend. He's such a good rider, and his mental space is meant. So he was just super chill with all week and was like, don't stress, just do like one thing at a time, one step at a time, one feature at a time. If you're feeling it, keep going. If you're not, don't worry about it. So when it came down to hitting that jump at the end, I was like, okay, well, this is just the next step. And then as soon as I hit it, he's like, sweet, you did that great. He was like, next step, go do a full run. And I was like, I had almost done a full run in practice, because I'd done from the top down to that jump and then stopped. So I was like, I have an idea of what it feels like, but without all the pressure. And that practice in the morning had been a bit wet, and the track started to dry up. So yeah, the bottom section was pretty much completely dry, but the top, as you saw, there's a rooty section as you drop in at the start gate, and that did catch a couple of people out, unfortunately. So yeah, the track was changing, and I think when me and Gracie went up, I was ready for a run, and I was excited to hit that last jump, because now I knew I could do it, and I was so pumped to have the opportunity to show that we could do it. But the easiest sections of the track got me. I think I was so focused on the bigger features that I just kind of, I wasn't riding myself. And the two corners I crashed in, I hadn't crashed in those bits all week. I barely had any crashes all week. I had one in a corner, and then I was kind of thinking back on it now and kind of laughing at myself, because hitting some of the biggest things I've hit in my life and then crashing on a corner is pretty funny. So
the track had changed a bit though, right? It looked like, certainly that second crash you had, it looked like there was quite a big hole in that turn. But
yeah, I realised that watching the men come down that a lot of them weren't even hitting that corner. So yeah, because it deteriorated so much and there's so much dust. But that's at the top of the track. It was almost like 3 different tracks put together in terms of the terrain, like the dirt, because the top bit was wet-ish, and then the middle bit was perfect, and then the bottom bit was incredibly dusty and so blown out. It was really cool. And it was just watching Gracie finish a run, because we had a screen at the top, was really nice, so I could see that she'd made it through everything. And it was just that was a really good way to start my run. And part of me was almost embarrassed. I was thinking about this on the flight back, because I had so much time to think with some long layovers, that I was just so embarrassed that I crashed in the easiest sections. And I felt like I was representing all women, because we were the first to do it. But because Gracie proved that we could, I'm not a bad, I don't know, I'm not a bad role model for women. But then I crashed, so then I was Gracie's proved that we can do it, and then I proved that we can crash and get back up. We're more than capable of falling down and completing this track. It was definitely a challenge all week, but we deserve to be there. And not just me and Gracie, but I'm sure there's a whole category of women that could do this.
Yeah, you 100% should not be embarrassed. Both your run and Gracie's run were incredible, so good to watch. But I watched your helmet cam back, your GoPro run back, and just the thing that blew me away was your calmness. After that, that first crash was a fair crash. It was pretty meaty.
Yeah.
I think I'd have been at home on the couch, mopping my wounds sort of thing. And you just got up, and the marshal's ride it down. And you're yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm going to be all right. Like, dust yourself off. How do you find that composure to, I mean, you're riding the gnarliest track, or one of the two gnarliest tracks on the planet, and you're live on TV and you seem so chill about it. How do you stay in that headspace?
Yeah, I don't know, because after the second crash, I did consider stopping, because I was the first crash I had, I checked my bike to make sure it was okay, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep going for sure. Like, I'm so lucky to be here. Not many people get to race this race, and yeah, I still want to finish. So yeah, I checked my bike and stuff to make sure it was okay, so I could continue and hit the features with a bit of confidence. But then after the second crash, I was like, I was kind of laughing, but also quite, like, I was like, maybe I should just stop. Like, I'm obviously not on a good run here, and I've crashed before at races, but yeah, it did feel like quite a lot. And there was some people off to the side of the track, and some kids were there, and one of them asked me if I was going to keep going. And it was when I had the thought of, like, maybe I should just stop, and this kid was like, are you going to keep going, or like, are you going to finish the track? And then I was like, I could barely even look at the kids. I just said yeah, and then I just got back on my bike, and I just decided, if I just get back up and continue with the track, if it feels good, I'm just going to finish. And I'm so glad I did, because the feeling of crossing the finish line was so sick. Like, there's so many people cheering, and yeah, the whole week of emotions and like a bit of stress with the wind and stuff was all worthwhile. And yeah, it was nice to congratulate Gracie at the bottom as well, instead of rolling around the features and trying to get to her and say well done. I like managed to come into the finish and say like it myself. So yeah, I was really happy for the both of us to complete a run. And yeah, and just Casey, like, he came all that way with me to Australia, and like for the whole week, like, it's not just me, it was like all the effort of Red Bull, Tanny getting us there. Like, it just felt like I should keep going. And yeah, I'm really glad I did. So
fair play. Yeah, impressive. Were you feeling the after effects of it at all? Like, second crash particularly was like a rapid sort of front flip, as it just took your front wheel, didn't it? Yeah,
I just pretty much stopped. Like, yeah, my front suspension like compressed and just got ejected. But my neck's really stiff, actually. And I broke my helmet as well, but I'm so glad it took the impact, because I've been feeling fine and remember everything, and feeling pretty good, but I'm just trying to take it a bit easy. So I feel incredibly stiff, but apart from that, I'm totally fine. Like, just
that's amazing.
Neck. Yeah, I think I'm pretty lucky. I wish I could land on my feet instead of my back, but
it was a pretty gnarly crash. I'm not surprised you broke a helmet in that. You went down hard, eh?
Yeah, and I definitely got away with it pretty good. And also, and I wasn't the only one to crash. Like, some of the guys got really unlucky, and I'm just glad that everyone was okay in the end. So.
Yeah, that's always my fear with Hardline, like, and Rampage and stuff like that. Like, I think the events are cool, but I just don't want to see people get badly hurt. So it was kind of nice. I mean, hopefully Jackson's back for the season, and I think Dan went down fairly hard and a couple of others, but like, it sounds like everyone was generally okay coming away from the weekend, like nothing too serious.
Which is crazy, because I wasn't there at the first Hardline Wales, but apparently it was super gnarly for injuries. So yeah, to create a whole new track and get that balance right between being intimidating and big features, and then also like a challenge, but not too much of a challenge that people are getting really badly injured. So I think the whole week was great, and I'm definitely keen to come back to Tasmania, and hopefully with a women's category. For Wales, I don't know, I guess we'll wait and see what they change, because I've heard they're going to make it a bit more exciting. So I'm just going to go there with an open mind as well, and just work through it with the other girls, and see how we get on. I think it is in between two World Cups, so it could be quite tight. With the race schedule. Because it's not at the end of the season, so it is like mid-season. So it's definitely on my mind a little bit for racing, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, be cool. What's the response been like? Like, I'm imagining you've been flooded with messages and DMs and interview requests and all sorts since the weekend.
Yeah, yeah, it's been overwhelmingly positive. Like, everyone's been so nice, and yeah, I think if I'd had a clean run through, I think people would have been stoked, and definitely my family and my boyfriend would have been a little bit less stressed, I think, watching. But thankfully there was a delay though. I messaged them first because we rode and then it was delayed a couple hours before it went live. So I managed to give them a message and say, like, by the way, I'm totally fine. If you watch this, like, I'm all right. But I think, I'm surprised that everyone's so pumped. Like, everyone they're not happy that I crashed, but I got so many messages just saying like how stoked people were that to see me crash and get back up, and it means so much that I guess it's just so relatable that everyone crashes.
Totally. We all crash. Yeah, totally. We all crash. We all sulk about it, but you didn't. You just like, okay, I'm on one of the hardest tracks on the planet. I'll just get back on and crack on with it. And that, I definitely find that inspiring. I'm sure a lot of other people will too. So I think that's what's kind of like people are taking away from it. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it definitely makes the feeling of crashing on live TV a lot nicer when people are like,
it takes the edge off.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to think back on it and cringe. I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, yeah, it's so easy to crash on those tracks, and and it wasn't the features that I was stressing about. It was just like a couple mistakes, but hopefully I think next year I'll just cruise through and get everything, hopefully.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's talk a bit about downhill racing that's not hardline related. Let's start with World Champs, because last year they were in your hometown of Fort William. That must have been a pretty exciting prospect to have an opportunity to go and take part in World Champs literally at home. Yeah,
I remember thinking before World Champs that I kind of wished it was later. I was like, oh, I'd love it to be, I'm so excited for it, but if only World Champs was like in 2 years, like I could just train for it for 2 years straight. That's how much I wanted to do well at home, because there's nothing like a home crowd, and especially Fort William is actually quite a small town, so like even walking into the supermarket, you just kind of bump into everyone you know. And I really felt for Michaela. So Michaela and I went to school together, and I've been in New Zealand for a couple of years now, and so I'm almost like a little bit detached from it. But when I go back, it's such a good buzz, like catching up with everyone, and it still feels like home. But for Michaela, when you live somewhere constantly, and then it's your home track, there's so much pressure. So in my head, I was like, in a couple of years, I'll be as fit as possible. Have all the race experience I need. But then I think it was just quite nice, like that it was, last year. And I just got there and just thought it's such a cool place to grow up and a cool place to have a downhill track. And it's a gnarly track. It's super long, like it's hard. Like the whole week was amazing, and I think World Champs has a bit of a different vibe to a normal World Cup. You get way more practice. Everyone's with their home country, so there's like that patriotism as well, like especially Scotland, like everyone, if you're Scottish, you like love home as well. So it was really cool, and it was extra special seeing Charlie win World Champs like in the UK. Like that was incredible, especially with the weather. It was kind of like a fairy tale moment, I think, for everyone, you know, when you see someone who's really nice do well, it's just extra special. So yeah,
you didn't do badly yourself, Lou, to be fair.
Well, I think not living there for a year or two kind of took some of the local pressure off me. It was like kind of a nice pressure, instead of an overwhelming pressure, which I've definitely felt in the past. Like when I lived there and did a couple races up Fort William, I pretty much consistently crashed or rode off the track just from like, it was like a curse, like I couldn't get rid of it. So it was really nice to come back and do like a run that I felt proud of. And and again, like Hardline, like riding through that finish line was like almost makes me emotional now. Like I don't think I even looked up, or like I didn't check the time or anything. Like I was just so happy to get through to the bottom, and then I was pretty surprised when they're like put me on the hot seat. And then I was on the hot seat for so long, and yeah, it was just really nice, all of it. And then me, Phoebe and Tanny were on the hot seat at one point together, and I felt like that was pretty cool. I won't forget that anytime soon. And we had a team call the other day, like and with Intense Factory Racing, like as me and all the other riders, so we had a bit of a chat, and Ollie, our team manager, asked us what we think we're really good at, so we all had to say it in front of everyone. And I was trying to think pretty hard, and I ended up coming up with that I feel like when I've got a bit of adversity, I tend to do better. Like almost when everything's going good for me, I just like do okay. But when when I struggle, I actually seem to focus a bit more. Like that hardline run, like I felt like the bigger features were easy because I was like, I've just crashed, like I can do this, like it's all good. And then for World Champs, I got really sick that week, like really sick. So I'd just come back from Crankworx Whistler, and it'd been such a full-on season anyway, so it's my first full season of World Cup racing, which I'm living the dream, like it's so sick. But I really struggled to say no to any opportunity I get, so I did like all the Crankworx as well. So I did the 4 rounds of Crankworx, all the World Cup races, and then I did Mega Avalanche. I went to that, and then I said yes to Hardline. So it was almost like, I almost didn't have any weeks off like throughout the season. So I didn't realise, but I was a bit exhausted. And coming straight from Whistler back to Scotland, I just got really sick on the plane, and I completely lost my voice. It was funny, everyone was coming into the tent in Fort William to come say hi to me, and I could barely say anything, and people were like, are you crying? Like, because my voice was so low and like high pitched and screechy, it kind of sounded like I was in tears all the time, but I just lost my voice. And so pretty much every day that week I went and did some practice, and then went straight to bed and just tried to recover. And I was taking everything possible, like lemon sips and lemon and honey and everything to feel good. And I qualified, I think it was like 16th or 17th. So if that was a normal World Cup, I wouldn't have been in the main show. So because it was World Champs, I was like, I get to do my race run. I'm going to make this, like, make the most of whatever this is going to be, even if I'm 20, if I don't care. I get to, go up and ride. And ended up getting 4th. So I don't know how that happened, from getting 16th or 17th and feeling terrible, like I felt like I couldn't breathe, to then doing my race run. And I guess, though I didn't have much pressure because I didn't have any expectations, and I was just happy to be there. And then ended up getting one of my best results all year. And the reception I got at the bottom, I think I did an interview just afterwards, and it was, I don't know who it was for, probably the TV or BBC or something, and they were like, oh, you kind of got like, they saw that I was crying, and they're like, oh, so you're kind of in the worst position possible, you're just off the podium, how does it feel to be 4th, like you're so close to 3rd? And I think they thought I was upset, but I was like, oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be this close to the podium, and like if this was a World Cup, I would be on the podium. And it just shows I was like, should just believe in myself a bit more. And it was a really good, that was a really great week for me, and it kind of led into Andorra and the rest of the season. Like I got a top 10 at Andorra, and just was loving it. Like really, that's cool. Really enjoying racing. So
it shows it's in there, right? But it's working out. It sounds like for you, it's working out how to access it on a regular basis.
I've just not done enough racing, really, I think. Because I didn't do those junior years, like when we were chatting in Innerleithen, like I was reflecting on the last 2 years. Like if you told me when we were in Innerleithen that I would go on to podium at the next World Cup, I would have like laughed in your face. But then also I'm so happy with like coming to racing a bit later and figuring it all out, and meeting really cool people in the process and getting all these opportunities. Like I just feel so lucky to get to do it. So and people, I guess from the outside, from social media, and people who don't really know like someone who races personally, there's so much failure. Like you just don't get the results you want all the time unless you're like the very top of the top. But to get there, you just have to fail so many times and feel like sometimes like you just maybe can't do it. So when I got 4th, I started to believe it again, and I was like, it's kind of like this fun / stressful roller coaster of figuring it all out. So yeah, it's just really good. All the lows make the highs really high. So yeah, it's just fun, and I'm really excited to be on intense factory racing this year. So, and next year actually.
Team move.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. It's 2-year deal. Nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to be with them for 2 years. Really sad to say goodbye to Nuke Proof, to be honest. The people there are incredibly nice, and we've got so much history. Like, they believed in me when I got into racing as a privateer, and yeah, I just love everything about them. So yeah.
Yeah, shout out to everyone involved in that, you know, a lot of people have lost their jobs, and it's not been easy times for a lot of people involved with those brands, which is a massive shame, because everyone I ever met was doing a wicked job and were really nice humans. So yeah, my thoughts are with everyone that has been negatively affected by all that stuff. Me
too. Yeah, they're such good people, and yeah, our industry is just having so much change. But yeah, it affects real people, and yeah,
it does.
I just hope they're doing okay.
Fingers crossed. So when did you find out about the opportunity with Intense Factory Racing then? Because Joe was relatively late in the year kind of pulling all that together, wasn't he? I know there was a lot of stuff that he had to sort out.
Yeah, I was chatting to a couple of people just... I had a 1-year deal with Nuke Proof. Oh, well, not just Nuke Proof, the Nuke Proof factory racing team, like SRAM Factory Racing. And I knew they were trying to figure things out for the next season, but everyone else was signed for 2 years, so I was the only person on the team that had a bit of uncertainty. And I felt like I had a really good year, but they weren't sure whether I was going to be on the team or not, so I just had to start like chatting away with people, but I hadn't really been considering it all year. And then yeah, Joe and I shared a gondola ride in Leger, and I didn't know he was starting a team, but we had a bit of a chat there. I can't really even remember what we were talking about, but yeah, he just is a nice person, and yeah, ended up he was keen to have me on the team, and I'm really happy with the way he's gone about it. Like, he's picked people off personality and talent, and so everyone on the team, like, we went to California for a bit of a trip, and we all get on really well. Everyone brings something a bit different to the table, and I feel like I can be myself. So I'm just hoping I'll just give it a good nudge this year, and I feel like every year I'm in a better position to figure it all out. So yeah, definitely going to try my hardest, and yeah, hopefully do the team proud. They were really pumped with Hardline, so I think they're a little bit concerned. Like, Joe's been in Queenstown for a bit, and so he actually dropped me off at the airport with Casey, and he was like, just to reiterate, because our team manager's already said it, but you don't need to ride anything, there's absolutely no pressure. And I think he was kind of like not talking us out of it, but just being like, be safe. And and then him and Ollie and everyone were really proud. So yeah, I'm glad I'm in one piece.
To have that feeling.
But yeah, also
for sure,
feel part of already a part of a small family. So
that's really good after one team camp. How are you getting on with the bikes? You've had that for what, a couple of months now?
Yeah, it's been, I'm not sure how long when we went to California, but I've been getting on with it good. It was cool riding some new tracks over in America, but the real test was when I got back to Queenstown, because it's tracks I actually know, and I could really kind of suss it out, and it feels really good. It's definitely feels more like a race bike, so hopefully that translates into speed, and it's red, so it should be fast. But I think but there's so many changes for me. Like, the suspension's different, it's a high pivot, the bike is designed differently. It's just really cool to get to grips with some new stuff, and even the brakes, they're so different to SRAM, so it is taking a bit of time for me to figure it all out, but I'm loving it. It's just my first ever downhill bike was a Nuke Proof, and it's pretty much been almost everything I've ridden for ages. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing to try something a bit new, and if anything, it's just going to make me a better rider, and it's forced me to learn a bit more about suspension, which I struggle with. We're going to have to do a lot of we had to change the suspension for it to work for Hardline, and now we've changed it back, so I've got a race setup and then something that's a bit firmer for that style of track. So yeah, I'm definitely learning heaps, and I've got so much more to learn. So yeah, it's good.
That's cool. And you've got your mechanic Casey like out in Queenstown, right? So you've got someone that you can work with basically all the time. Is that how it's set up?
Yep, he's based in Queenstown, and he's epic. He's like works in Vertigo bikes, and he's been there for a couple
nice.
years. So yeah, we've been mates forever, and yeah, he worked for Pivot last year for the race season. So yeah, it's good. I didn't steal him, but I was like, hey, I think Intense are gonna do this team, and like, you're welcome to join. So yeah, he was really keen, for the opportunity as well. So it's just going to be nice having someone that I know from home at the races, so we can be prepared in Queenstown and then go over together, instead of like, I feel like a lot of people in New Zealand, Australia, you kind of just have to leave and you get thrown into like a big mixing pot of loads of people, and yeah, you can't bring much with you, or bring your routine, or bring like something like almost like a home comfort. It's nice having someone who knows my riding and knows maybe my flaws or weaknesses or whatever, and can kind of help me like work through it. So
yeah, that's a massive advantage, I think. Yeah, how has Queenstown been this summer? It feels like the whole World Cup circuit has been in Queenstown for like the last 2 months. Is it different to normal?
Yeah, I guess when I first got here, it was before COVID, so it was really busy with people coming here for pre-season, and I was absolutely blown away. I remember I worked in the bike park at the time. I saw like Rachel Atherton come through, and I got to like load her bike, and I'd be working on the trails, and I'd see like Maureen Cabarrou ride by, and I just like thought they were all really cool. But yeah, it was definitely real busy then, and when COVID happened, it kind of came to a stop. So Queenstown got a lot quieter, but the trails actually got better. And yeah, the bike community here is unreal. Like, the bike club put so much into it, and there's a couple like legends like Rod Drury, who just gives so much to the people. And yeah, the vibe here is really good. It's there's not many places like Queenstown, and I guess, I don't know if I helped it, but when I was at like racing last year, I kept telling people how good it was, but it's not it's not a very good secret, really. Everyone knows how sick the tracks are here, and you kind of have everything you need if you want to get ready for racing. So, or even just riding, like, it's such a nice, the weather's really good, and obviously it's winter back home, so it's quite appealing to come here, get a bit of sun. And yeah, and this summer's actually been quite wet for Queenstown, which I love. So it goes from like 2 days of beautiful sunshine to a bit of rain to a bit of sun, and the dirt's just like perfect. Whereas in the past, it gets to about January time and it's just full dust bowl for a couple months. So yeah, I think it's been a really good time for people to come visit, and half the people who have come over who race are pretty adamant they're going to come back next year. So
nice.
Yeah, I think
that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun because I've stopped tiling and like doing a 9-to-5 job. Like, everyone in my house is gets up and goes to work, and I get up and go to work, but I'm on a bit of a different program. So it's really nice having people in town who are on a bit of a similar schedule to me, and they want to go to the gym, and yeah, they want to do like all the stuff that's fun, but you also do like timing and things, and yeah, it's
nice.
nice.
Have you had the opportunity to ride with some of the other fast women from the World Cup circuit?
I've done some with Valley. I saw, Shan's here, and I saw her, we went to the gym yesterday together, and then Miriam Nicole's here, so I had a good catch up with her. Tanny's going to come after her Tassie, like the end of her Tassie trip. I've done some laps with Emmy and Cam as well, and nice. I feel like I'm missing people, but then it's actually Jess. I haven't done any laps with Jess because she's just been so full on with her new ride with Cube, so she's just been everywhere. But yeah, we've got such a good female community here, which is pretty sick. And yeah, and just, it's really nice. Even not the World Cup chicks, but the freeride girls here, like, they come from everywhere and they're just unreal, like hitting Dream, like backflipping it. Like, I mainly just go and ride the pump track with them, and sometimes like hit Gorge, but yeah, they're nuts. Like, yeah, Vinny and Robin and Haz and Hannah and Cam. Yeah, there's quite a lot of us, actually. They're taking over.
Yeah, the progression in that women's scene in the last few years just seems to be on some crazy trajectory. Like, it's so rapid every year. It just seems to go up heaps.
I think it's just given, like, we've been given such a good platform, and those girls, especially with social media, it's like people can see what they're capable of now, and they're starting to like get the recognition for it, and I feel like the only way is up now. And the bonus is that there's like so many of them too, so there's like a whole group of girls, so they're all supporting each other and like growing together. And I feel like the free ride scene is not as competitive as the racing, but not in a way of like the level is so high. I don't mean it like it's not competitive, like hard, but I mean it's like a really kind, and like the vibe is so different. Like at races, everyone's very focused, and even though I love all the girls, they're super nice, but it's definitely like you're racing your own race and it's individual, whereas a free ride, it's like hardline a bit more. So it's everyone's just happy that they're there and they get to experience it all, and then they get down safe as well. So yeah, I feel like it's less intimidating, whereas racing is like, I think on the outside, quite intimidating. So
yeah, it's full on. And so what are your like hopes for 2024? Are you obviously looking to keep chipping away at like World Cup results, and like you said, you're still pretty fresh to it, really. There's I guess still a lot to learn, and you've got some great people in the team to help you this year as well.
Yeah, I really just want to keep progressing with my racing, and I think I've got so much to learn, but I don't want to say any results goals, because it's out of my control, but I just want to keep focusing on myself and like bettering myself every race. And the first one is Fort William, so I'm excited to go back there, and I'm also looking forward to World Champs this year as well, because that's in Andorra. So yeah, I just want to be a bit more consistent, and I think from last year I was a bit almost too reserved, so trying to get through semis, I just wanted to do a nice safe run to make sure I got to finals, but the level was so high, I really have to push myself. And yeah, I just need to find that balance between pushing myself and then not overdoing it and making mistakes. So I'm really excited to try and toe the line with that, and I'm sure the new team will help, and just get consistent results, and also just keep enjoying it. So that's my plan.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, you've been cracking on in the gym a bit more than in the past as well, right?
Yeah, I feel like I've got more energy because I've got so much. Got a lot more time to commit to the gym, and I'm
you're
feeling
not tiling every day, right?
Yeah, well, that's a workout in itself, but it was not specific to riding. So
yeah, very much not.
Whereas this is I'm really enjoying the process of learning something a bit different, and I think it probably helped with those crashes as well, I'd like to think. Just being a bit stronger, feeling a bit more confident. And the thing with last year, there was so much traveling. I think I got sick from just doing too much. So I'm going to make a conscious decision this year to just, it sounds terrible, but just say no to stuff. Like say no and just try and be a bit more focused. And also try and keep my fitness up throughout the season, because that probably would help fight off bugs and germs and whatever's going around, just like if you're feeling fit and strong. And the schedule of World Cup racing is so hectic. There's so much traveling and like logistics and stuff. So just make time for myself and make sure I'm going to the gym, and just looking after my body a bit more.
Good, keeping a good balance. And what's next for the team then? Are you meeting up before Fort William, or is Fort William the next time you'll get together? Yeah,
I've got my next race will be Rotorua Crankworks, which isn't that far away, to be fair. But then I think I'm heading over in April time, and we're gonna meet up before Fort William and do some riding in the UK. There's chat of maybe a national, or maybe go to Dovey. It'd be nice to go back and do a bit more riding in the UK. So it's been a while.
Good opportunity to go home as well, I guess.
I'm gonna go back and see some friends and stuff. So that'll be a cool way to start the season. And then I'm really pumped to go to Poland as well. So that'll be nice, going somewhere a bit different.
I'm excited to see what they've done for us there. Like, I don't know anything about the place or the track, so it's gonna be cool.
I don't know, if you hear anything, let me know. But I'm excited to go somewhere new too. I just think it's good to switch stuff up.
Definitely. Cool. Well, it's great to see that you're in one piece. it was awesome to see you throw down that run with Gracie at the weekend. Like, massive respect to everyone that got down that track and everyone that worked through it and maybe didn't quite make it all the way due to weather and various other things. But yeah, it's cool. I'm excited for this year. I'm stoked for the team, and looking forward to seeing you on track. So if people want to follow your journey throughout the year, like, where's the best place for them to be looking?
Definitely Instagram. I think I'm just Lou Ferg on Instagram, but I need to make a conscious effort to be better on Instagram. So I tried to do it with Hardline. I feel like, I just need to get used to, talking about myself a bit more and kind of showing people what I'm up to. And just, I'm pretty terrible with communication, and that's something that I'm trying to work on. And the new team has realised that really quickly. So that's
they'll keep you in check.
So I'm going to work on that. But hopefully, I'm just going to keep my Instagram up to date. So if anyone wants to come with me to some World Cups and figure it all out too, then jump on there. And thanks so much for having me. It's so good to just reflect on the past couple of years since we last had a bit of a chat, and and also Hardline. I feel like it was such a great week, and we just did so much, and the other girls are incredible. Like, even I don't think I mentioned her, but she's one to follow as well, who was also at Hardline. And they're going to, and I think it's 5 other girls are now doing slopestyle at Crankworks. So
sweet.
They're going to make some big waves, I reckon. So definitely tune in for that if you follow Crankworks, or if you just want to see what they can do.
Wicked. Nice one. Thanks, Lou. Well, I'll stick links in the show notes to your Instagram and to the team YouTube channel. So if people want to check that out, they can. But great to catch up. I'll be in Fort William, so hopefully I'll see you trackside up there. But until then, all the best. Stay healthy, and excited for this season.
Thanks, Chris. I'll see you in a couple months. It'll be good to have you there.
Nice one.
All right.
Sweet. Cheers, Lou.
Bye.